Mooney from the Muniverse, and today I want to share 3 of my favorite gratitude practices for spiritual entrepreneurs. Now, as a reminder, the Mooniverse is a place where you can come and get guidance, support, and find community as you embark upon this journey, or as you start to look around and say, hey, I want to take this to the next level. Come on over to the Mooniverse and check it out. Join the Facebook group and get involved in the conversation of sharing your gifts with the world. So, my favorite gratitude practices are all built upon the beginning parts, this kind of mindset journey that we have to go on at the beginning of us deciding or choosing to say, I'm going to go do this thing. So, first and foremost, the one that I love to do is to send a handwritten gratitude note out to somebody who made a really big difference at any point in your life. If it's about your spiritual business, even better, but it could be any point of your spiritual journey because I think, as we all know now, our lives, everything that's happened to us didn't happen to us, it happened for us. It happened as a way for us to become experts at navigating life with this physical body, with the experiences and all the lessons and everything we've learned to be able to overcome obstacles. And if our spiritual gift is what's helping us do that, even better, because that's unlocking new ways for you to help other people while you're helping yourself. So the gratitude note thing, it's one thing to send someone a text, it's another thing to send them an email. It's an entirely different energetic experience to send someone a handwritten note. And I know you've got I'm guilty of this. I have tons of note cards and like little thank you cards and stuff like that that pile up everywhere, and I never use them. So this is a great opportunity to do it. And it's right before the Christmas card season hits. So it's a perfect opportunity to send a really heartfelt note. Now, one of the things I recommend is doing this once every week. And that might seem daunting at first, but the more you think about it and the more you practice it, the more your brain starts to rewire itself to looking for the people who've supported for you, to looking for the helpers. That old Mr. Rogers quote, right? So look for the helpers. So in your own life, who has helped you? And help is a really kind of relative term, right? In some way, shape, or form, help could be someone who, it gave you a little bit of confidence on a day that you really needed it, or someone who's always, stood by or created space for you or has been there for you. It could be somebody who recommended a book that opened up a new area of awareness for you. It could be somebody that introduced you to one of your favorite spiritual teachers. It could be somebody that just said, hey, I'm sending you energy and I hope everything works out and it's exactly what you needed to hear. It can be big or small, but it's something for us to practice, to looking through and kind of sifting through the experience of our lives and the journey that we've been on to say, hey, this was kind of like a important turning point for me and you were involved in that somehow. And I just wanted to let you know that I think about it a lot and I appreciate you and I'm sending you my very best wishes. However you want to phrase it, whatever you want to send, but it's the act of sending those gratitude notes out into the universe that starts to kind of change the way we see the things that happened in our lives as happening for us and not to us. And that opens up a whole new category of people that we can thank for their support. Sometimes, even if it didn't feel like support at the time, but it set off a chain reaction of things that pointed you in the right direction, that's okay too. So, this is an exercise that's really great and really fun to do. And again, the secret here is it's important for you to do this. Sometimes I understand it's not easy to get a letter to somebody because you don't know where they live anymore. You've been out of touch. You're allowed to write that letter and you're allowed to release it to that person energetically if that feels more comfortable for you. But this is an every week thing. So I'll remind you, handwritten gratitude letter or note every week to somebody who helped you out along the way. And it could be big or small, doesn't matter, but it's getting in the practice of being in gratitude, which I love. The second thing, this was really important. This was one of those kind of aha breakthrough moments for me growing up, I should say, as a young adult entering the workforce. So flashback to, 10 plus years ago, and I had the exciting fortune and pleasure and privilege to go to Fiji for a work trip with Tony Robbins. And at that event, we were preparing for this big platinum thing that he does with all these kind of adventure trips and emotional trips and retreats and things like that. So we're in Fiji and there was a doctor there that was there teaching something and they wanted to test out the process that he was doing. And it was called the life story process. And it was the general gist of it is that every 5 years of your life got about 5 minutes of you talking about it in generalities. Like we used to go do this, or in the summers we'd go there, or this was my favorite thing, or if I could have more of this, or if I could have less of that. And you start to create an impression about each 5 year chunk of your life. And every time you have a positive memory, you have to put one token down. And every time you have a negative memory, you have to put another token down. Now, we didn't have tokens, so I think I used like Mentos and like Twizzlers or something. I think that was it. So every time I had a positive thought, I had to put a Twizzler or a Mentos down, and every time I put a Twizzler down, it was a negative thought, right? So we go through this whole thing, and at the time I was only about 25, so we're talking about just 5 segments of this process. And I finished the thing, and it was hard. It was emotional, and there's a lot of things I hadn't thought about that were coming up in my young life already. But I was, dutifully putting the Mentos for positive, putting the Twizzler for negative, and, sort of going through the whole process of doing it. And you're in another world, right? Because you're focused on this thing. You've got the amazing Tony Robbins, like, asking you questions and kind of watching the whole process going along. I think I was being videotaped too. That was part of it. And so there was a lot happening. And I just remember getting lost in the process, right? Of just experiencing and kind of revisiting all these memories. And if you had asked me at the beginning of that process, did I think that I was a positive, grateful, a person with, like that was everything was kind of going okay or going well, I should say. I would have said no. I would have been like, no, absolutely not. Like I'm a tortured artist. Like I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm lost. I'm this. I'm that. And so I had this idea about myself in the context of my life, in the context of my career and my purpose and my mission, and like how was it all going to turn out. And again, I was 25, so you can imagine like everything was possible, and also everything felt overwhelmingly too much. When the process was done, however, and they kind of like showed me what had happened, there were way more Mentos than there were Twizzlers. And it was this amazing experience of, without any intervention, because it was me doing it, right? I told myself that things were going great, that I had much more positive going on for me, much more things to be grateful for than I did the opposite. And it was this kind of like immediate breakthrough moment, like aha snap moment, where my brain just sort of like clicked into place and rewired and changed the way I viewed the world, right? Instead of it being that I'm focused entirely on the things that aren't working, I started focusing and appreciating the things that were. And the more that I looked at those things, the more that I found. So there was this just amazing, just like a switch that just went off. And, it wasn't this perfect, beautiful moment that I wish I could go back and say everything changed, but it allowed me to see what life could be like if I stayed in that headspace and that heart space. And it really has helped me navigate through some of the tougher parts of my life, especially when I think about it in those 5-year increments. Now, as a almost 44-year-old person, I have a lot more 5-year increments to talk about. And when I look back at those 5-year increments, so many things have happened, but I find myself gravitating towards the positive memories and the things that I can be grateful for. So this might be a fun exercise for all of us to do, even if it's just in a smaller, more manageable way. So I would recommend, if you do journal at all, or if you can think about it right before you go to bed, or right at a time where you're feeling the most thoughtful and creative, is to just jot down 3 things that happened in that day. 3 good things. And it could be like, I made my tea and I got to it before it got too cold and I didn't have to stick it in the microwave again, which I personally dislike doing, but I get stuck doing that all the time. Or, like I just had like the most positive experience outside talking to somebody who I'd never met before, and we both sort of just like saw each other as divine beings and went about our business, and that was really empowering. Or I got a note in the mail today of someone thanking me for doing something that I didn't think was that big of a deal, but it really transformed something for them. See what I did there? Connecting 1 and 2. So think about those and start to just try to look for those positive things that you can be grateful for, or those positive things that went well, and start to build that practice. Sometimes it's really hard, I'm going to be honest, after a long day of the caretaking responsibilities I have, or running my business, or doing paperwork, or, not all the things I have to do that I don't love doing, but it's part of what I get to do as being an entrepreneur. Sometimes those days are tough, but every once in a while there's like a spreadsheet, or there's something that I did that I say to myself, wow, you really did a great job on that. And I've had to learn how to do that, and honor and acknowledge and be grateful for my own skills and abilities, and my ability to just keep showing up and doing this thing that I love to do. And I want you to have a little bit of that also, a little side story, a little slice of that, so that you can enjoy that every day. The third thing I want to remind you of is, we have these limiting beliefs, right? It's a function almost of us being human, is that there's this constant noise chattering of, hey, this isn't going to work out for you, or it's too late for you, or someone else is doing that better than you, or maybe you should take another class, or nobody wants to hear what you have to say, or what makes you the expert in what. I mean, like, listen, I know I'm an expert in hearing my own. But one of the practices that came out of working in my Launch Your Spiritual Business program and the Spiritual Business School program that I created is this exercise for being able to release these limiting beliefs. A lot of places and a lot of teachers and a lot of motivational thought would tell you to burn your limiting beliefs and break them and destroy them and bust through them. And I understand that as a way for people to deal with those limiting beliefs and those negative thought patterns. However, it's not part of who I am, right? It's not that kind of violent visual is not really what does it for me. And so I had to really go into my own processes and sift through my own experiences to say what worked. And what worked for me was finding all of those cuddly little fuzzy limiting beliefs. And that's what they are, because all they're trying to do is keep you safe, right? Stay underneath this comfort zone so that you don't have to go out there and the world can't hurt you, or that you won't face judgment, or you won't be out of, put in situations that make you uncomfortable. And so that those little fuzzy little limiting beliefs have kind of wrapped around all of us to say, hey, you're good where you are. And so I don't want to, how do I put it? I don't want to dishonor the thing that they thought they were doing for us, that they thought was good, but it wasn't what we needed, if you can follow that along. Those limiting beliefs were just doing their jobs. They are created in order to keep you safe, and so they'll do everything they can to keep you safe. And it's not fair to hurt them or break them or dismiss them or treat them negatively at all, because they thought they were doing what they needed to do. And so I devised this way, and I encourage all of you to think about it this way, is that instead of breaking through or having this kind of violent action around releasing your limiting beliefs, it's time to thank them and let them go. So I use this phrase all the time that you can use whenever that thought comes up, right? When those negative thoughts or those limiting beliefs kind of gurgle up out of your subconscious. My favorite thing to do is to thank them and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for keeping me safe. I don't need you anymore. And the best part about saying it that way, right? Thank you, thank you, thank you for keeping me safe. I don't need you anymore. Is it's with love and it's with kindness and with compassion. And also it's with the intention that they're going to float away and go have an adventure on their own and maybe be transformed in the process and just, have this amazing experience that doesn't involve them being responsible for keeping me safe, because I can take care of myself. So those are the three practices I'd like to offer you. And again, that third one really is more of a in the moment, right? When those limiting thoughts come up, when you have that whisper of doubt or anything that shows up for you as you're embarking on this journey, pivoting in this journey, taking it to the next level on this journey of being a spiritual entrepreneur, it will happen, and it does happen. And it's a great way to let the energy of that go instead of ignoring it or repressing it or breaking or doing any of the stuff that doesn't quite fit the narrative, I think, for spiritual sensitives to engage in. So again, these are my three favorite gratitude practices. The first one is sending out those handwritten notes once a week out there to somebody who did something big or small to help you on your journey, whether it's your spiritual journey or your life journey. The second one is to do that token exercises, right? If you have Mentos and Twizzlers, even better. But whatever you got, paper clips and thumbtacks, whatever it would be, to start thinking back through, and really 5 minutes for each 5 years of your life. And as you do that, try to come up with the things that you can be grateful for, right? So if you want to do the full process, you can do that. If you want to do the exercise, find 3 things that went great, 3 things that you enjoyed, 3 positive experiences, 3 things you could be grateful for, whatever that occurs to you as, and get that practice going of really starting to engage with and connect with gratitude. And then that last one that I love is that anytime any sort of limiting belief or any of those negative thoughts come up, just love them and let them go. And that's the best you can do. That's the best I can give you on how to navigate gratitude and start to get that practice going in your spiritual business, in your daily life, and see what happens. This is one of those moments where I wish I could tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it's really up for you to find out. So my gift to you is that I'm grateful I can sit in front of this computer and this camera and share these with you. And I'm grateful that you're here watching it. And I'm grateful that you're going to give some of this a try and see if it changes things the way it changed things for me. All right, have a wonderful holiday season as we engage into it, and just enjoy the gratitude, maybe a little slice of something yummy, and I'll see you all very soon.